State's most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. The rain has stopped for now, making it a muddy mess outside. Here's Michael with a check on your forecast.
It is. It's going to take a while for this ground to be able to absorb the amount that we picked up for the past 3-4 days. Skywatch Storm Tracker clear for the time being. We do have some light cloud cover that I removed just so we could pay attention to our flood warnings. Those are what we see in lime green. Then the dark green, that's going to be for our rivers, whether it be the Sac, the Marmonton, the Osage, the Little Osage, and the Neosho. Flood warnings persisting all the way through the middle of the week. And then we turn our attention out to southeast Kansas, where we have a dense fog advisory lasting until 9 o'clock this morning. And even though these counties in SEK have the dense fog, don't think that visibility is any better as you get through southwest Missouri. Most of the precipitation staying up to our north and a large band that's pushed off to our east, but we're going to be able to stay out of the fray on this Monday morning. 43 in Miami, 46 in Carthage, 49 right now in Chanute. There is the aforementioned band right along the warmer temperatures right in the Mississippi. Turns into some snow even for the upper plains, but everything is going to move to the east and really not play a role in our Monday morning weather. We'll take it. We deserve a little break after what we've had over the weekend. Sunshine later on this afternoon, able to make it up into the mid-60s, so not too bad as far as that goes. Monday through Tuesday, everything stays up to the north. Tuesday, a little cloud cover works in. Then we turn our attention to Wednesday morning. That's when we're going to have additional thunderstorm activity work its way in from Oklahoma right up I-44. That's going to present us with some heavy rain and lightning once again for Wednesday. Thursday, it's going to linger, and then we can actually get rid of it and sit back and enjoy and be able to dry out over the weekend. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Michael. Daylight savings time is back, meaning clocks spring forward an hour, and people, well, we all lost an hour of sleep. But some lawmakers are looking to get rid of the change altogether. Under the Sunshine Protection Act of 2021, daylight saving time would be permanent, meaning after we spring forward, we wouldn't fall back again. We spoke with one Joplin resident to hear what they think about the possible change.
I think eventually you'll get used to either way, but you've got to stop and think how dark it is when the kids have to go to school, and you know, it takes the daylight away in the morning.
She says she doesn't mind the change twice a year, but having kids go to school in the morning when it's dark worries her. Daylight savings time will last until the first week of November. The Missouri State Highway Patrol investigates an officer-involved shooting in Kimberling City. Officials say around 10 a.m. on Friday, the Highway Patrol, Stone County Sheriff's Office, and the Kimberling City Police Department responded to an address on Port Holiday Lane 2 in Kimberling City after a call regarding a possible hostage situation. After several hours, Highway Patrol Troop D's SWAT team was called in. As troopers were attempting to negotiate, the suspect fired several shots. One trooper shot the suspect. The Stone County coroner pronounced the suspect dead. Officials are still investigating the incident. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol says one person is dead and 2 others injured following a crash in Delaware County yesterday. The accident occurred on Oklahoma Highway 10, 4 miles east of Grove. 28-year-old Justin Armstrong of Grove was killed when the car he was driving crossed the center line and hit another car head-on. Armstrong's passenger and the driver of the other car were taken to the hospital for their injuries. Missouri enters Phase 1B, Tier 3 today in its COVID vaccination rollout. This tier includes educators, child care providers, communications infrastructure, the dam sector, the energy sector, and several others. To see if you're in Phase 1B, Tier 3, just head over to our website, KOAMnewsnow.com, and click on the Mo Vaccine link at the top of the page. Missouri's rate of new coronavirus cases is ticking upward after months of decline. St. Louis Post-Dispatch reports the state's coronavirus infection rate has tumbled since the fall, when Missouri hit a peak 7-day average of 4,723 new confirmed cases on November 20th. That average fell as low as 343 on March 6th, but has since edged upward to 395 on Friday. No one was injured in a fire that tore through an apartment building in Overland Park, Kansas. But the credit for that is given to 2 police officers who were the first at the scene on Thursday. As Alan Shope reports, their life-saving efforts were caught on a body camera.
Where are you?
Blocked in by a fire.
Everybody get out! Fire!
First on the scene, 2 Overland Park police officers.
You gotta get down this way.
Help! I have a dog too.
Okay, well, hand me the dog or whatever and we'll go.
Where he is?
With fire crews on the way.
Well, let's work on getting you down first, okay?
Officers rescuing a woman from a second floor.
Slowly work our way down.
Then heading back inside to get others out as the fire burns above.
Sir, we gotta go!
You just don't really think. You just go.
We've gotten this out. We don't know if anybody else is over there. Most have come out.
After taking in a lot of smoke, Officer Kyle Pick continues to make sure everyone gets out safely.
I'm checking the back.
The upper level was completely engulfed, and I was fearful that he was up there.
The officer wearing the body camera was not available to talk on camera, but did send us a statement, quote, "I know the risks we put ourselves into for our job to help others." Crews say unattended cooking was the cause of the fire that displaced residents from more than 10 units here at the complex. But they also say it was thanks to those quick-thinking officers that likely saved lives.
And there were citizens that helped, and just encourage everybody if in that situation just to get out.
There were no injuries in the fire.
Besides all residents being okay, firefighters were also able to rescue the dog that one of the residents mentioned in this report. We'll talk about planning for the future. NFL football star Patrick Mahomes' daughter isn't even a month old, but she already has a promising future as a soccer player. That is, if she eventually decides to pick up the sport. Texas Tech, where the Kansas City Chiefs quarterback attended school, announced via Twitter on Wednesday that Sterling Sky Mahomes will receive a scholarship offer to the college in 2039. Mahomes played football at Texas Tech prior to being drafted by the NFL. Sterling's mother played collegiate soccer, so athletics are certainly in the DNA. It's 5:07.
Cool shot he was wearing there at the podium. For those of you that did not know, that's a Kansas City Monarchs jersey. Kansas City Negro League Museum, of course, located in, or the Negro League Museum located in Kansas City. That was awesome to see him wear that. Gradually clearing skies, just got to get rid of the morning patchy fog. Look at that sunrise. Got to wait all the way to 7:29 now that we've hit daylight savings time. Don't forget, we've got flood warnings abound throughout southwest Missouri and dense fog advisories in southeast Kansas. So we got a little bit of everything on this Monday morning, but eventually we're going to finish off with some sunshine as we push through on Future Track. Monday keeps all the precip up to the north. Tuesday, just some gradual cloud cover. And Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, we are right back on it. Thunderstorm activity for the middle of the week, just in time for St. Patrick's Day, and a cold front on the backside with some chilly temperatures headed into the weekend.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Pitt State host Washburn yesterday for the first game of a 3-game series. We'll have highlights from the game, plus 2 ways the CDC says you can protect yourself against the new COVID variants, and why Nebraska State Board of Education's proposed changes to sex ed faces controversy. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Pitt State hosting Washburn yesterday. The first of a 3-game set. Gorillas 6-3 entering the matchup, and PSU aiming to start off the series with a W. We'll pick it up in the first inning. Washburn grounder. Gorillas infield takes care of this one. We call that 5-3 in the scorebook. That closes out the inning. To the third inning, runners on first and second. Xavier De Leon knocks the one up the middle. That's going to bring everybody home to score. Then in the same inning, with 2 outs, a double down the line for Zion Bolin. All of a sudden, Washburn's plated 2 more runs. Big inning for the Ichabods as they'll tack on 6 runs in that inning alone. But the Gorillas go back to work, break out the bats, and then Washburn comes back and wins this thing 15-14. That's good old 1980s college baseball right there. Mount Vernon girls 1 step closer to the Class 4 state championship game as the Mountaineers earned a spot in the semifinals. Their first appearance in the Final Four since 2012. Mount Vernon won the quarterfinal game over Blair Oaks on Saturday to put them into the Final Four. Mountaineers were down by 6 at the half. Made a comeback, pulling off the 46-45 win. Lacey Stokes lifted her team to victory with 19 points. Up next for Mount Vernon, Vashon. That's coming Friday at 6.
I mean, all season we've kind of called ourselves a second half team, and so usually Coach B lights a fire in our butt in the locker room, and we kind of come out with that just need to score and need to get the job done. I thought winning sectionals was cool, but this is even better, and to get to do it with my best friend again, we're just ready to keep going. You know, our goal is there, and we want to do everything we can to get there.
Lacey had that much energy after that game. In Kansas, state tournament wrapped up on Saturday. Colgan girls state runner-up as they fell to Sterling 52-36 in Saturday's 2A title game. A historic season for the Panthers, as this was the program's first time playing for the state title. A win over Valley Heights in the semifinals on Friday is what put them through to the championship game.
I knew coming in we'd never quit. Like, we always give 110%, and we always laugh. It's not always pretty basketball, but they'll never quit. They were a very good basketball team, and I think we exerted a lot of energy, you know, winning last night. So I'm not sure that we played our best, but I'm just so proud of the kids. You know, we've done something that's never been done, and, you know, we were never ranked, and so it's a humbling experience.
Congratulations to Coach Farabi and the entire Panther team on a very, very historic, successful season. And Francie, you get to actually enjoy some time at home now. Isaiah Loudermilk, a West Elk High School alum, working towards his shot to play in the NFL. Loudermilk is finishing up his senior year at the University of Wisconsin. Pro day for the Badgers was earlier this week as Loudermilk ran the 40 in 4.95 seconds and had a shuttle time of 4.4 seconds. Over his career, the defensive end started 20 games for the Badgers, making 50 tackles, including 9 for a loss, and tallied 5.5 sacks.
I feel like my numbers were where I wanted them to be. Position work went good. I feel like I was able to kind of show a couple things there. A little more athleticism, a little more flexibility there. But overall, I feel great about the whole process. I'm glad and happy where I'm at right now.
Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, a French artist's mission to promote peace and kindness around the world. And to check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. 5:17, roll a little weather on the 7s on this Monday morning. Mostly cloudy skies, but at least we're void of any rain, and we deserve that coming off of what we've had late last week all the way through the weekend. So the lime green's going to indicate flood warnings that persist all the way into the afternoon hours, but also too the river flooding. That's going to take several days, whether it be the Osage, Little Osage, Marmaton, Sac River, all these with flood warnings in the northern portion of southwest Missouri. And then we also have the Neosho ranging from the north part of 400 all the way down into northeast Oklahoma. On top of that, in the gray, we've got dense fog advisories, and the patchy fog still persists throughout southwest Missouri as well. Don't let that fool you just because it's over in southeast Kansas. Little rain's going to work up to the north right here. Look at this huge band. They've got thunderstorm activity right in the Mississippi. Rather impressive in scope, but luckily out to the east of us. 46 in Joplin. Let's roll 48 in Parsons and 45 in both Monette and in Cassville. For the bus stop forecast, yeah, remember, since we had to take those clocks and turn them forward, sunrise is not until 7:29. It's going to be dark for quite a bit here. Patchy fog. And then we'll stick with the partly cloudy skies and the temperature around 50 degrees by the time we hit the 9 o'clock hour. That's that storm system I was talking about. Turns into snow even for the upper plains. But for us, hey, we get to cruise and actually gradually clear off our skies and work into the mid-60s later on. Pretty seasonable temperatures for this time of year. Quite delightful when we talk about the afternoon hours and then clearing skies with a little southwest breeze that'll pick up 10 to 15 miles per hour here for the evening. Now, we're going to skate through Monday and Tuesday looking pretty good. It is going to be late Tuesday into early Wednesday morning when the rain is going to reemerge and give us thunderstorm activity for St. Patrick's Day. Turn our attention now to the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. Every 7 years, the Nebraska State Board of Education updates its education standards, and they're voting on new ones this year. But this time, there's controversy, particularly around when, if ever, students should be taught about gender identity and sexual orientation. John Kipper tells us why Governor Ricketts wants the standards scrapped.
It's time to review and change education standards in Nebraska.
This is a big issue, so it has to be discussed.
These always bring some turbulence, and this time around is no exception, particularly around teaching students about gender identity and sexual orientation. According to the comprehensive 60-page first draft, students in kindergarten would be taught about same-sex couples. In first grade, gender identity would be defined to students. In third grade, students would learn about sexual orientation. And the next year, they'd define the difference between gender identity and gender assigned at birth. Governor Ricketts blasted the health standards portion this week, saying in a statement they need to scrap it. And the new standards from the department would not only teach young children age-inappropriate content starting in kindergarten, but also inject non-scientific political ideas into curriculum standards. I spoke with multiple members of the State Board of Education on Friday, and they all told me a similar message, that right now, all they're doing is listening to Nebraskans.
I feel like my role right now is to be much more a listener.
I mean, that's what's going to be helpful is if people give feedback that is about specifics so that we really can have productive conversations.
Board member Deborah Neary says the governor has the right to voice his strong opinions on the standards and that her ears are open to anybody who wants to make the plan better.
The governor is one of the residents in my district, and so I want to listen to him like I do any parent who has opinions.
The standards are put together by a variety of school administrators, teachers, mental health therapists, and medical doctors. The board will listen to the public, make multiple drafts, and then vote in the fall.
Will I feel really good, or will the department feel really good, or will everybody feel really good about the outcome of the process? Probably not. But that doesn't mean that I'm right, you're wrong, or whatever. It simply means that that's the way it works.
Maybe most importantly, once the standards are final, it'll be up to each school district and how they want to implement them, if at all.
We're just setting the gold standard of what we're recommending, but no one's going to be required to, no school district is going to be required to accept these standards.
Our question this morning, should sex education teach about gender identity and sexual orientation? And if so, at what age? You can let us know on the KOAM News Now Facebook page or our morning Insta poll at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, cases of coronavirus variant believed to be more contagious have been identified in just about every U.S. state. And a top U.S. health official says there are two ways to combat those variants. Maybe Gaither has more.
In the war on COVID-19, there are still plenty of questions, including how long vaccines last and do they work against the highly contagious coronavirus variants.
While we are starting to see emerging evidence that the vaccines remain effective against circulating variants and that the risk of breakthrough infections in vaccinated persons and spreading the virus to others is low, we must be resolute in our efforts to fully answer these critical questions.
All three companies with vaccines now authorized in the U.S. are working to make sure their product provides protection against the variants. This week, Moderna announced the first participants have received its modified COVID-19 vaccines designed as potential boosters. In the battle against the variants, two strategies are now being pursued in the U.S. Vaccinated people could get specific booster shots against each variant that crops up, or get a shot that offers protection against several variants.
Here is the challenge. Are we going to chase each variant in an almost whack-a-mole way, or are we going to try and get a vaccine that has a good degree of cross protection against several and get the level of virus so low that we don't really have an outbreak proportion?
And all that hinges on more Americans getting their COVID-19 vaccines.
We ask for your participation by rolling up your sleeve when it is your turn to be vaccinated, and we ask for your leadership in helping others do both of the same.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Vaccine maker Moderna says they hope to have results on a COVID-19 vaccine booster by May, possibly earlier. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Remember, with that clock springing forward, we don't have sunrise until 7:29, and we're mired right now with a number of watches and warnings. So what we've got for the lime green is going to indicate flood warnings, and then in the gray throughout southeast Kansas, those are dense fog advisories. The darker green that you see along our rivers, Those are additional flood warnings, an amount of all the 3 to 5 inches, pockets of 6 inches of rain that we got dating back to last week. Temperatures today with gradually clearing skies work into the 60s. Delightful Tuesday up into the 70s. St. Patrick's Day thunderstorms going to start early in the morning. Back right after this.
Clocks spring forward, a look at legislation that would make daylight savings time permanent. Plus, Missouri enters the next phase of its vaccine rollout. We'll tell you who's eligible now. And a head-on crash in Delaware County kills a Grove, Oklahoma man.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. The rain, it's given us a break, which is nice. But now we've got to deal with the mud. Here's Michael with a check on your forecast.
We got a couple days to dry off, Tanya, so that is the nice part. I went ahead and removed the cloud cover just so we could see that we don't have to put up with any precipitation. That being said, with as much as we picked up last week, the 3 to 5 inches, pockets of 6 inches, we not only have our flood warnings indicated in lime green, but then you see this dark green, that is flood warnings for all of our rivers. The Little Osage, the Osage, the Marmonton, the Sac, the Neosho. All of those flood warnings going to last up until the middle of the week. The gray, well, that indicates a dense fog advisory. So we've got a little bit of everything. Visibility not too bad. Just make sure you got your low beams on and give yourself a lot of room between you and other drivers. Heavy thunderstorm activity is to east of us out by the Mississippi River. 48 in Lamar, 46 in Oswego, and let's roll 50 right now in Nevada. Sunrise not until 7:29. It's going to be, got to remember, we got to get used to these dark mornings for the most part, but already up to 50 degrees even with partly cloudy skies by the time we reach 9 a.m. That's that long band right there. Look at that. It stretches from the Gulf all the way to the upper plains where it turns into snow. But for us, hey, we'll take a little afternoon sunshine, work up into the mid-60s. Not too bad at all. Monday and Tuesday, a chance to dry out. Late Tuesday into Wednesday, thunderstorm activity. Our next chance for a little severe weather. Cold front on the backside takes us into a chilly weekend, but at least our rain chances temper off. Tanya?
That's right. Liking that break. Daylight savings time is back, meaning clocks spring forward an hour and people lose an hour of sleep. But lawmakers are looking to get rid of the change altogether. Under the Sunshine Protection Act of 2021, daylight savings time would be permanent, meaning after we spring forward, we would not fall back again. We spoke with one man to hear what he thinks about the possible change.
I think most of the time it's just good getting out. I'm an outside person, you know, so if that was extended like that, to me, it gives me more time in the evening to get out in the yard and do things and all of that stuff. So, no, I like that idea myself personally.
He says the extra hour of light helps with being more productive at the end of the day. Daylight savings time will last until the first week of November. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol says one person is dead and 2 others injured following a crash in Delaware County yesterday. The accident occurred on Oklahoma Highway 10. 4 miles east of Grove. 28-year-old Justin Armstrong of Grove was killed when the car he was driving crossed the center line and hit another car head-on. Armstrong's passenger and the driver of the other car were taken to the hospital for their injuries. Missouri enters Phase 1B, Tier 3 today in its COVID vaccination rollout. This tier includes educators, child care providers, communications infrastructure, the dam sector, the energy sector, and several others. To see if you're in Phase 1B Tier 3, just head over to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com and click on the Mo Vaccine link at the top of the page. A new study contradicts the notion that teens and young adults are less likely to get COVID than older adults. It suggests they're actually more likely to become infected. Researchers looked at infection rates in Utah, Florida, Kansas, Missouri, South Dakota, and Tennessee. They say they selected these states because they report COVID cases by age group. Young adults ages 15 to 24 years old reported a higher frequency of COVID-19 infection than adults 65 and over in each state. In Florida and Utah, they were twice as likely to become infected. Researchers believe one potential reason their results contradict conventional wisdom is because they looked at data from last summer when restrictions were relaxed and COVID was surging. The Creative Learning Alliance is bringing a science center to Joplin, and this won't be expected to open until 2025. At the moment, they are unable to take their mobile exhibits out in public. Instead, they teamed up with Joplin's Empire Market to introduce their Show Me STEAM Physics Fun Bags. The bags would include anything one would need for a physics experiment at home. This week's bag was a triangle tower.
Yeah, so we've got like newspaper and then the golf ball, and then there's some mailing labels. So kids will actually roll up the newspaper and then put together a triangle and use the golf ball to kind of see how they can balance it and build a little tower to figure out how compression and tension works in the everyday world.
She says their upcoming center will be for people of all ages, and they were happy to give a bag to anyone interested. Shoppers in Pittsburgh were treated to a unique shopping experience where they could help others in the community. Raylane has opened in the old Goodies building for its spring and summer sales event. It's a consignment store with families reselling things like toys, furniture, baby equipment, and much more to help cover their own personal expenses and provide good items at a low price to those in need.
I think it's great because it gives families a chance to come in and sell their items and make a paycheck, and also shop retail, because we've found that the retail selection is kind of low right now, especially in children's items. So this just gives people a chance to come in and shop in a fun environment, bring their kids in and shop and stuff too.
Sale is happening now through the 18th. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's interview captured the attention of the world. Why some were focused less on the interview and more on the chairs they were sitting in. Really? Plus, if you're not hungry now, you will be soon. We're going to show you the record-breaking attempt to make the tallest stack of flapjacks. First, it's 5:37.
I was really hoping with the new week in daylight savings time that perhaps we weren't going to have to talk about that anymore. Evidently, that is not the case. It is not to be. Sunrise at 7:29. Remember, flood warnings throughout southwest Missouri and for our rivers. And we also have dense fog advisories running throughout southeast Kansas. Gradually clearing skies and afternoon sunshine, so that will be nice. And finally, a little chance to dry off here as we'll have a pretty nice looking Monday and Tuesday. Now, as we get into Tuesday night / Wednesday morning, that's when we got thunderstorm activity that works in from the southwest right there. A little bit of a wet St. Patrick's Day and a cold front on the backside of it that brings a little chill to the air as overnight lows dip into the 30s as we head into the weekend. We'll be back with World Watch right after this.
Topping World Watch, a French artist has people joining hands across the world in a mission to promote peace and kindness. CBS's Ian Lee is in London with the story.
The scenery in this West African village is about to change as a French artist armed with a spray gun and biodegradable paint works his magic. While children watch and wait in anticipation, a giant piece of land art is taking shape. Hours later, drones reveal what artist Saipe created. He says, "My idea is to make the world's largest human chain by painting these intertwining hands that build bridges between people and cultures." This local fisherman says, "It's important to be united, to go hand in love. That's why we let him beautify our home." Saipe didn't stop at one. He made a second fresco on a beach that was once one of Africa's main slave trade hubs. A giant hand seems to be slipping into the ocean. Another is pulling it back. Saipe says it's a symbol of mutual hope and kindness. The idea began in 2019 with a line of hands leading to the Eiffel Tower. Since then, the 33-year-old, dubbed the King of Land Art, has painted 37 pairs of hands across Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, spreading a universal message of togetherness when the world could use it the most. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
It's really cool. Saipe paints more than hands. He's also created landscape art to draw attention to COVID, climate change, and the plight of refugees. A big percentage of global greenhouse gas emissions can be traced to the way food is produced and packaged. A new study backed by the United Nations says more than 1/3 of the greenhouse gas emissions around the world that are caused by human activity can be linked to food production. It works out to an estimated 18 billion tons, or 34% of the total carbon dioxide emissions around the world. The research suggests, the United States, China, the European Union, and India are among the top emitters. Chill out at this Chinese hotel with wild views of a polar bear enclosure. How cool. Harbin Polar Park, an Arctic themed park in northeastern China, opened hotel rooms on Friday, able to view the polar bears. Guests can eat and sleep with the bears as they roam through boxed-in areas where they play, swim, and look back at guests when they want. Hotel rooms are made to look authentic with icy features and, of course, reinforced glass for safety viewing. Some animal rights groups say the hotel profits off the misery of the animals, and they're urging the customers to stay away from the hotel. Room rates run from about $300 to $450 a night. In Western Russia, people set a national record for the tallest pile of pancakes on Saturday. As part of the region's local folk festival celebration, visitors and professional chefs celebrated Pancake Week by making roughly 1,500 pancakes, putting together a stack that was over 11 feet tall. In pagan times, the beginning of spring marked the start of the new year, something the Orthodox Church has followed, using the time to say goodbye to winter by feasting for a week. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Let's toss it over to Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Tanya, this morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page, every 7 years, the Nebraska State Board of Education updates its education standards. That would be this year that they're going to do it, particularly around teaching students gender identity and sexual orientation. Our question to you is, should those two topics be taught in school, and if so, at what age? I'm going to thank Michelle Piscini in advance because we're going to get to hers here in just a second. Kara Jo Reed, she simply says, no, it should not be taught. Haley Hicks says, that sounds like a conversation a parent or physician needs to be having with a child if such instances occur for clarification. No, Roy. Rick Norton, club member, he says, what is wrong with people? Have we dropped our moral standards that low? Rick says, wake up, America. Rocky Cunningham with the meme, enough said, and I love you, Aunt Pat. And Guy Hansen says, the new normal. Former Democratic Party casts mirror images of Nazi Germany, only better. On International Women's Day, Biden signs orders on gender equity. Biden administration puts stamp of approval on every imaginable lifestyle. Mingala would be pleased. Like I said, Michelle Piscini, give you credit in advance. I knew it was coming too, Michelle. KOAM News Now Insta poll this morning, 81% of you say no. Sex education and gender identity should not be taught in school. You can make your voice heard. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Be back with the news you need to know before you head out the door right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. President Biden, Vice President Harris, and their spouses begin traveling across the country this week to talk to Americans about the benefits of the president's nearly $2 trillion coronavirus relief package. Republican lawmakers staunchly oppose the legislation, which the president signed into law last week. Daylight savings time is back, meaning clocks bring forward an hour and people lose an hour of sleep. Some lawmakers are looking to get rid of the change altogether. Under the Sunshine Protection Act of 2021, daylight savings time would be permanent, meaning after we spring forward, we wouldn't fall back again. Daylight savings time will last until the first week of November. The Missouri State Highway Patrol is investigating an officer-involved shooting in Kimberling City. Officials say around 10 a.m. on Friday, the Highway Patrol, Stone County Sheriff's Office, and the Kimberling City Police Department responded to an address on Port Holiday Lane 2 in Kimberling City after a call regarding a possible hostage situation. And after several hours, Highway Patrol Troop D's SWAT team was called in. As troopers were attempting to negotiate, the suspect fired several shots. One trooper shot the suspect. Stone County coroner pronounced the suspect dead. Officials are still investigating the incident. Oklahoma Highway Patrol says one person is dead and 2 others injured following a crash in Delaware County yesterday. The accident occurred on Oklahoma Highway 10, 4 miles east of Grove. 28-year-old Justin Armstrong of Grove was killed when the car he was driving crossed the center line and hit another car head-on. Armstrong's passenger and the driver of the other car were taken to the hospital for their injuries. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
A number of warnings and advisories still in effect for our Monday morning. Flood warnings in lime green, and then the dark green, additional flood warnings. Those are for particular rivers, the Osage, the Little Osage, the Marmaton, the Sac, and the Neosho River, all with flood warnings until the middle of the week. Then out to the west for our counties indicated in gray. Those are dense fog advisories that last until 9 a.m. After that, we actually get some gradually clearing skies and afternoon sunshine. Going to be a delightful Monday, actually a chance to dry out just a little bit, so that's very welcome news. And a nice looking Monday and a nice looking Tuesday on Future Track as well. And until we get to Tuesday night / Wednesday morning, down in the bottom left-hand portion of your screen, here comes thunderstorm activity just in time for St. Patrick's Day, rearing its head out of Oklahoma. Cold front on the backside of that is going to give us some chillier temperatures as overnight lows back down into the 30s. But after the thunderstorms for Wednesday and early Thursday, at least we are dry headed into the weekend.
How did a child star from the Brady Bunch get mixed up in the Prince Harry and Meghan interview with Oprah Winfrey? Well, the most famous sit-down interview in recent history sparked an important question along many. As millions of viewers watched Oprah's exclusive interview, they began asking themselves, where can I get those patio chairs? Janine Moose explains the Brady Bunch connection.
This is a story with legs, not to mention cushions and even wicker. Who needs a throne when you've got those patio chairs viewers were ogling?
How can I get those patio chairs?
Currently out of stock, sold out everywhere from Overstock to Amazon. Priced at $554 a pair. But what's priceless is their connection to this.
That's the way we all became the Brady Bunch.
The man who owns the company behind the chairs that cradled the behinds of Prince Harry and Meghan and Oprah is none other than Peter Brady.
Then it's time to change.
Over 50 years later, he goes by his real name, Christopher Knight, Home Collections.
I love it.
On his Facebook page, Christopher noted, I am honored to have the patio chairs from my collection become the seat of the most fascinating, famous sit-down in recent history. While most folks were digesting
It's a go.
various bombshells dropped in the interview.
So much to unpack there.
Others just wanted to unpack those chairs. The real winner of the Oprah interview, the chairs. Even a similar, cheaper version was sold out on Walmart's website. Usually it's clothing, like Meghan's $4,700 Armani dress, that gets all the attention. The dress, with its lotus symbol representing rebirth, also got parodied for representing a seagull bombshell.
Before we get into it.
But the patio chairs escaped unbesmirched. Some 5 decades ago, Peter Brady couldn't stop imitating Humphrey Bogart.
You see, we're having pork chops and applesauce here. That's swell.
Well, he's still doing the imitation and serving the dish as well.
Pork chops. Applesauce. Wow.
But when it comes to sales, nothing beats getting royal rumps into his chairs.
Yeah, I like the cushions in these chairs too. Michael, what do you think?
Oh, I was updating flood warnings. I do know that Christopher Knight, he went on and he got a career selling computer software.
Huh. Little businessman there.
Yeah. That's about all, I mean.
I didn't realize he had his own furniture line.
Well, no, I don't, yeah, I would. I mean, I remember him from the Brady Bunch, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not know. When they take the Facebook page full, that means that I need to get on. That's them kicking me in the rear end, saying, hey, Slip, talk about the next subject. You can go to @MichaelHayslip, KOAM on Facebook, and that's the same forecast that you will find on the Skywatch weather app. Remember, that is downloadable for all your mobile devices and absolutely free. Then you can transition over to the KOAM News Now page. Our question this morning, should sex education teach about gender identity and sexual orientation? We'll resume our comments with Greg Horn. Greg says schools need to concentrate on core studies and not personal family values. No prayer, Pledge of Allegiance, but sex identity and sexual orientation focus on teaching math, science, writing, cursive, reading, and history. Brandon Call calls it this week's sign of the apocalypse. Brandon, who used to do that? It wasn't Sports Illustrated. I can't remember who used to have, Brandon, if you know where that came from, let me know. I thought it was Sports Illustrated, but I don't think it was. Tiffany Mather says, negative Ghost Rider. Love it. Little Top Gun shout out. Tiffany says, it's my decision as the parent to decide when or if to talk to my children about these subjects. The school needs to stick to the basics, the arts and physical activities. As far as our morning Insta poll goes, right now we've got 83% of you saying no. Gender identity and sex education, sexual orientation should not be taught in school. Make your voice heard. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Come back, update the Skywatch Storm Tracker next. Flood warnings in southwest Missouri, dense fog advisories in southeast Kansas. But by the time it's all said and done, let the clouds clear off this afternoon. We'll get sunshine, make it up into the mid-60s. How about 70s tomorrow? And then we've got thunderstorm activity coming back late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, carrying us through St. Patrick's Day into Thursday. Cold front on the backside. More KOAM morning news right after this.
Clocks spring forward, a look at legislation that would make daylight savings time permanent. Plus, Missouri enters the next phase of its vaccine rollout. We'll tell you who's eligible now. And a head-on crash in Delaware County kills a Grove, Oklahoma man.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. The rain has stopped this morning, making it a muddy mess outside. Here's Michael with a check on your forecast.
Here's the thing about daylight savings time. You know, it's nice to have, later evenings and the sun's still shining. Takes away my tower cam in the morning, though. It's going to be dark for some time. 48 degrees is where we stand right now in Joplin. Skywatch Storm Tracker, really void of any precipitation. We do have some light cloud cover out there on the western edge. Let's talk about our warnings and advisories. Flood warnings indicated in lime green throughout southwest Missouri from the 3 to 5 inches we already picked up. And then the dark green indicating flood warnings along a number of 4-state rivers. The river ones, those last all the way to the middle of the week. Then for southeast Kansas, a dense fog advisory until 9 o'clock this morning. Rain stays up to the north of us, and then we've got a big band out by the Mississippi, far out to the east. We're going to be dry, not only for today, but also tomorrow. 47 in Oswego, 48 in Carthage. Let's roll 48 in Fort Scott as well. For the bus stop forecast, we were talking about those dark mornings. Sunrise not until 7:29. Now, after the patchy fog begins to dissipate, partly cloudy skies to begin with, but still up to 50 degrees on the bus stop forecast by 9 a.m. That's that band that stretches from the Gulf, turns into snow in the upper plains, but kind of horseshoes around us. Good news, because we deserve a break from late last week all the way through the weekend. Gradually clearing off up into the mid-60s. Hard to beat for this time of March as everything moves to the north of us on a Monday. Tuesday, going to be beautiful. How about 70 degrees on Tuesday? But then Tuesday night into Wednesday, bottom left hand, here it comes following me through. We've got thunderstorm activity coming out of Oklahoma just in time for St. Patrick's Day and a cold front on the backside that drops overnight lows down to the 30s. Tanya?
Enjoy these warmer temperatures while we have them now then.
We get 2-day break and we need every bit of it.
All right.
So is my basement.
Oh, I bet it does. Man. All right, well, daylight savings time is back, meaning clocks spring forward, and we all lost an hour of sleep. Darn it. But some lawmakers are looking to make the move permanent. KOAM's Bronte Sorosky finds out what 4-staters think.
Feeling extra tired? You aren't alone. Everyone lost an hour of sleep last night because of daylight saving time. Although this could be the last time we spring forward, as legislators have reintroduced a bill to make daylight saving time permanent. One Joplin resident says she isn't a fan of losing 1 hour of sleep in the spring.
Well, I'm not very happy with it. I've been up since 2:30, so I just couldn't sleep last night.
When she heard that lawmakers are trying to get rid of the seasonal time change, she agreed, saying that losing and gaining an hour is confusing.
Well, it does to me. I think it's very confusing to keep doing it, yes.
She adds that while having an extra hour of sun is nice, she worries about it being darker in the mornings when children ride the bus.
You've got to stop and think how dark it is when the kids have to go to school. And, it takes the daylight away in the morning, so.
Although some people still remain unbothered. In fact, one man didn't even realize the time change.
but this morning, I don't know if just because I forgot about it, didn't even think about it, you know? So it didn't bother me much at all.
And if you haven't already, make sure to set all your clocks forward 1 hour. In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Daylight savings time started yesterday and will last until the first week of November. Missouri State Highway Patrol investigates an officer-involved shooting in Kimberling City. Officials say around 10 a.m. Friday, the Highway Patrol, Stone County Sheriff's Office, and the Kimberling City Police Department responded to an address on Port Holiday Lane 2 in Kimberling City after a call regarding a possible hostage situation. After several hours, Highway Patrol Troop D's SWAT team was called in. As troopers were attempting to negotiate, the suspect fired several shots. One trooper shot the suspect. Stone County coroner pronounced the suspect dead. Officials are still investigating the incident. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol says one person is dead and 2 others injured following a crash in Delaware County yesterday. The accident occurred on Oklahoma Highway 10, 4 miles east of Grove. 28-year-old Justin Armstrong of Grove was killed when the car he was driving crossed the center line and hit another car head-on. Armstrong's passenger and the driver of the other car were taken to the hospital for their injuries. Missouri enters Phase 1B, Tier 3 today in its COVID vaccination rollout. This tier includes educators, child care providers, communications infrastructure, the dam sector, the energy sector, and several others. To see if you're in Phase 1B, Tier 3, just head over to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com and click on the Mo Vaccine link at the top of the page. Saturday, the Spring River Wellness Center hosted a 11 on the Educators event in order to give back to educators in Cherokee County. The free event included a breakfast bar, pedicures, a cycling class, and spinal screenings from Riggs Chiropractic. One representative from Riggs says this event serves as a way to show teachers that despite how rough the past year has been, they are not alone.
Everybody's had a really hard year. It's been especially hard on our educators and our frontline workers, and so it's just finding a way to reach the needs that we felt like as a society we were lacking meeting those needs.
The event was made for encouraging teachers, letting them know the community supports them and showing them love, just like the event's name says. Joplin South Middle School hosted its 3rd annual spring market on Saturday. At the market, vendors could rent out space in the gym to sell what they had to offer. Market also serves as a fundraiser for the school to help cover expenses outside their normal budget.
We started this, we were able to get risers for the choir. They've been singing on risers that were, from back in the 90s, and it was time to update those, and so we were able to take care of that ourselves. This way, if we've got a need for the students to improve their day or improve instruction or open up an opportunity for them, then we've got funds available where we can just get that pumped into them and roll with it.
Officials say they're grateful to the community for supporting their students. It's 6:07.
Did you think the same thing that I did when you did the Loving on Educators story?
McDonald's?
Aerosmith?
Oh, I guess that works. I have food on my mind.
I was thinking Aerosmith.
Okay.
Loving on Educators. It kind of sounds like an Aerosmith song.
It could, yeah.
Something like that. Sunrise at 7:29. Thank you, Daylight Savings Time. My tower cam's rendered useless because it's going to be dark for so long. Flood warnings in southwest Missouri and dense fog advisories in southeast Kansas. Gradually clearing skies, though, as we're able to make it up into the mid-60s later on this afternoon. Even warmer on a Tuesday. How about some 70s on the board? Thunderstorm activity just in time for St. Patrick's Day morning, followed by a cold front that drops us down with daily highs in the 40s and 50s and overnight lows back to the 30s for the end of the week.
And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the stimulus checks roll out to many Americans in the next few days. What you need to know about receiving yours. Plus, a look at the threat the new variants pose to vaccination efforts. And spring is less than a week away. Our own Jesse Irwin shows us some crafts you can make from home. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. In On Money Watch this morning, some Americans will see extra money in their bank accounts within the next few days. The first batch of stimulus checks from the Biden administration's $1.9 trillion COVID relief package is rolling out. John Lawrence reports.
Good afternoon. President Joe Biden says the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 will give the COVID-stricken U.S. economy a much-needed boost.
It changes the paradigm. For the first time in a long time, this bill puts working people in this nation first. It's not hyperbole, it's a fact.
Direct deposits are going out first, with $1,400 for eligible people who make less than $75,000, heads of households who earn less than $112,500, and married couples who bring in less than $150,000.
And you have kids under the age of 6, you will get an additional $3,600 over the next year. And if you have kids aged 6 to 17, you will get an additional $3,000 per child over the next year. And of course, for unemployment, that $300 per week extra will continue until September 6th.
The IRS will base the amount sent out on either 2019 or 2020 tax returns.
You really need to sharpen your pencil up here this weekend if you haven't done your taxes and ask yourself, did I make more income in 2019 or 2020? Did my marital status change?
Critics of the plan say the $1.9 trillion package is too costly.
We're doing damage to the future of this country by spending dramatically more money than we obviously need.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Stimulus payments cuts off people who earn $80,000 or more per year and married couples who bring in $160,000 or more, regardless of the number of children they have. And starting today, people can check the status of their payments by going to the IRS's Get My Payment online tool. Bitcoin reached a new high watermark of its own over the weekend. The world's leading cryptocurrency shot up to more than $61,000 on Saturday. Some analysts believe the recent rally is tied to the arrival of new stimulus checks after a similar jump last year. Uber and Lyft are teaming up for riders' safety. The companies say they will share with each other information on drivers and delivery workers. They have banned from their platforms for serious incidents, such as physical assault resulting in a death and the most serious forms of sexual assault. The move comes more than a year after Uber released its first safety report. It detailed about 6,000 reports of sexual assault on trips in the U.S. in 2017 and 2018. Fans of the Taco Bell Quesalupa can rejoice once more. The fast food chain announced it's bringing back the Quesalupa, and it is cheesier than ever. According to a company press release, there's now 50% more cheese inside that shell. All right. In addition to the chalupa shell, the taco comes with seasoned beef, sour cream, lettuce, and tomatoes. And you can add on fresco beans and nacho cheese. You can now grab one at your local Taco Bell for around $3.50. And I'm hungry. That's it for Money Watch. We'll be right back.
Amy Sadler, what are we doing today?
Today we are going to make a really beautiful and very inexpensive home decor botanical frame.
Ooh, okay. Is there an occasion for this?
Actually, this is any occasion. No, it's a cute springtime if you decorate with botanicals or if you like fern leaves and greenery and you want to just add a little pop in an inexpensive way on a shelf or on a table. This is a good way to do it.
All right, I'll follow your lead.
Okay, so I got these frames at the Dollar Tree. So on the back there are little prongs, just like every other picture frame. I'm going to lift those up and I'm going to slide the glass out. So here's the frame, and then we have two pieces of glass.
Right.
So what I'm gonna do is, this came with the frame. I'm gonna peel this off, and it has some sticky tape underneath it, which is gonna be okay. That's actually it's still a little bit sticky, and for the project that we're doing, that's gonna be perfect. So I'm gonna take one of these, it's just a stem of greenery from Hobby Lobby, and they run half off all the time, very inexpensive. And I'm just gonna take and pop one off.
Just pops right off.
Pops right off.
Okay.
And I think this one will fit. If not, we'll just grab another one, but we're gonna place it
Ooh,
just
that's
like
perfect.
That.
Sort of smush it between there.
Smush it between.
It's like you work at the Smithsonian or something.
Right.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna slide it back down in here, and I'm gonna make sure that that piece of sticky tape is on the back side with the handle.
Okay, so when you're sliding it in, it should be on the upside.
Yes, and then I'm gonna just...
So you have to do this carefully because it can break probably, right?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Actually, I'm gonna put this one in first. I probably should have.
Okay, so you put one in first.
And put the other one in like this.
Oh.
And just try and find a way. What in the world? Jesse. Hang on. I got this.
Because it slides in there.
It does. What is happening is I'm getting.
Can I give this a go? I'm trying this.
Please help me.
Watch a pro. Set myself up for failure there.
No, I'm all for it. Gotta get under that one and under that one.
Okay. It looks like we took one of the Grinch's fingers and then just smushed it between two pieces of glass. This is gorgeous.
Let's try something else.
Okay, hold on. I think we might have it. If you're watching this, it's been 3 hours. How does it look? It looks good to me.
It could be really cute. Hang
it's like
on.
One of those billboards that have the, the extra part hanging out the top.
I think
it's probably easier with flowers, right?
We're gonna do flowers.
Okay.
So these are from the Dollar Tree.
Okay.
And I'm going to take the plastic off.
Okay, so we've slid the one piece into here,
Mhm.
and then we put the flower petals onto there with some double-sided tape.
Yes.
Okay.
3 is always a good number. Like this. Now for this one, I think I can do both pieces. I want it smushed. And then I want my tape in the back. Watch this go. This is gonna work.
That's really cool.
Super easy.
And you're going live on Facebook every day for 100 days?
I am, yeah. I'm not really, yes. It's a lot.
It sounds like a lot.
Yes, but I want to make sure that I am reaching people and that I'm helping people.
Right.
And I know a lot of people right now are going to be thinking like, how can I do this spring craft? And how can I make my home more beautiful? So, yeah.
And so it's Chateau Chic DIY.
Uh-huh.
And you can find it right on Facebook.
Yes.
And you can also find that on our morning show page. We will have the link to that on there as well. 100 days. You
Yes,
ready for it?
I am.
I'll
Are
pour it.
you ready for it?
I'm
Are
just
you ready for it?
We'll see if we're ready for it. This is awesome. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Topping Health Watch this morning, after a year of lockdowns and stay-home orders, is the U.S. turning a corner on the coronavirus? But how much of a threat do the new variations pose? Naomi Ruckham reports from New York.
More than 2 million COVID-19 vaccine doses are being administered every day in the U.S., 107 million and counting so far. Over 37 million Americans are now considered fully vaccinated. That's 11% of the total population. As high school football resumed in California this past weekend,
It's the greatest feeling ever. Like, I get to be back on the field. It's my last year.
a new CBS News poll shows a majority of Americans are feeling optimistic about efforts to stop the pandemic.
I'd like to see the island like this. It'll bring it back to life and businesses will go back to normal.
Spring break is now underway in Texas, a state that no longer requires masks to be worn.
It's actually great to see the world functioning in some normalcy. I miss seeing people out enjoying themselves.
Experts are still urging caution.
The younger people particularly stopped wearing masks, and then all of a sudden you have a surge that went right back up.
Overseas, 4 European countries have suspended use of the AstraZeneca vaccine. They're investigating reports that some recipients experienced serious blood clotting after their shots. The vaccine is not authorized in the U.S. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
To date, the coronavirus has claimed over 2.6 million lives around the world, 534,000 in the United States. Although smokers face a greater risk of complications from COVID-19, cigarette sales are going up. not down during the pandemic. The number of people seeking help to quit smoking fell 27%. Experts expect it's because of the stress associated with COVID-19. That according to a new report from the North American Quitline Consortium. The smoking cessation group says they got 190,000 fewer calls from smokers than the year before the pandemic. More alarming yet, the sale of cigarettes actually increased after years of decline. Public health experts hope that smokers will again seek to kick their cigarette habits this summer once more people are vaccinated. A new study out of Europe finds women with chest pain are more likely than men to have their symptoms misdiagnosed. Female patients often attribute their symptoms to stress or anxiety when they could signal a heart attack. Let's look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
That's a little interesting development here as the National Weather Service has lifted our dense fog advisories for southeast Kansas, even though our visibility in some places is less than 2 miles. But we're going to call that good news. That means the fog is beginning to break up. That being said, the flood warnings aren't going anywhere. That's indicated throughout southwest Missouri in lime green. Then you see the darker colors right there. Those are river-specific flood warnings. The Osage, the Little Osage, the Marmonton, the Sac, and of course the Neosho River. Let's go ahead and single in on the Neosho here. We'll go down by the bridge in Oswego, and you'll notice that that lasts all the way until Tuesday morning. Then as we drop down into northeast Oklahoma, of course, everything running downhill, that doesn't expire until Wednesday night. So please know that you can expect additional flooding the farther south that you live of each one of those rivers. As far as our weather trend goes today, breaking the cloud cover and afternoon sunshine going to lift us into the mid-60s. Pretty nice start to the beginning of the week as we'll be up into the 70s for tomorrow. Eventually for St. Patrick's Day morning, that's when we have thunderstorm activity. It's going to be a wet St. Patrick's Day followed by a cold front that'll drop our overnight lows down into the 30s. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Clocks spring forward, a look at legislation that would make daylight savings time permanent. Plus, Missouri enters the next phase of its vaccine rollout. We'll tell you who's eligible now. And a head-on crash in Delaware County kills a Grove, Oklahoma man.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. The rain has stopped for now, making it a muddy mess out there. Here's Michael with a check on your forecast.
And we've got flood warnings, Tanya, that are going to last all day long, in some cases even into the middle of the week. Some sprinkles coming down here out on the central portion of southeast Kansas. Not going to amount to anything. Let's talk about the serious stuff, and that's the flood warnings that persist throughout southwest Missouri in the lime green. See the darker areas here for our specific rivers, whether it be the Neosho, Marmonton, Little Osage, Sac rivers. The latest those last all the way until Wednesday evening, a result of the 3 to 5 inches. As a matter of fact, just yesterday alone, we saw anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches of accumulation. We picked up fast. Now, the nice thing is we're going to stay out of the fray for today with a large system all the way to the Mississippi, and all that will skirt off to the north of us. 48 right now in Joplin, 50 in Independence. We'll roll 49 in Nevada for the bus stop forecast. It's going to be dark a long time. Tanya's going to bring us an update here on the future of daylight savings time, but for the time being, sunrise is at 7:29. Partly cloudy skies, but we're able to make it up into the 50s by 9 a.m. Not a whole lot going on in the Midwest, which means by the time we get to the afternoon hours, we get sunshine and work up into the mid-60s, and really no threat of any rain until we get to Tuesday night. As a matter of fact, Tuesday is going to cruise into the 70s. But when we get to Tuesday night / St. Patrick's Day morning, we're going to have a system roll in out of Oklahoma. Thunderstorms and also a cold front on the backside of it. So our overnight lows are going to dip back down into the 30s, but at least we are looking at a mild and dry weekend. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Michael. Daylight savings time is back, meaning clocks spring forward an hour and people lose an hour of sleep. But some lawmakers are looking to get rid of the change altogether under the Sunshine Protection Act of 2021. Daylight savings time would be permanent, meaning after we spring forward, we would not fall back again. We spoke with one Joplin resident to hear what they think about the possible change.
I don't necessarily think so. I think eventually you'll get used to either way. But you've got to stop and think how dark it is when the kids have to go to school. And, you know, it takes the daylight away in the morning.
But it gives you so much more time in the evening. She says she doesn't mind the change twice a year, but having kids go to school in the morning when it is dark worries her. Daylight savings time will last until the first week of November. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol says one person is dead and 2 others injured following a crash in Delaware County yesterday. The accident occurred on Oklahoma Highway 10, 4 miles east of Grove. 28-year-old Justin Armstrong of Grove was killed when the car he was driving crossed the center line and hit another car head-on. Armstrong's passenger and the driver of the other car were taken to the hospital for their injuries. Missouri enters Phase 1B, Tier 3 today in its COVID vaccination rollout. This tier includes educators, child care providers, communications infrastructure, the dam sector, the energy sector, and several others. To see if you're in Phase 1B Tier 3, just head over to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com and click on the Mo Vaccine link at the top of the page. Saturday, the Spring River Wellness Center hosted a Lovin' on the Educators event in order to give back to teachers and school staff in Cherokee County. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with educators and event staff who stressed the importance of wellness for teachers.
The past year has been a challenge due to the pandemic. One group feeling the effects extra hard, educators.
The teachers have had a hard year.
The Spring River Wellness Center in Riverton saw a need to help teachers in the community and held a Lovin' on the Teachers event, showcasing their appreciation and support.
There was a need voiced in the community for some extra support for teachers and educators.
The Wellness Center offered many options for educators to de-stress.
We have essential oils to help with stress, anxiety, relaxation. There's some goodie bags. We have pedicures going on and a breakfast, and Riggs was doing spinal screenings.
Chad Harper, principal at Riverton High School, has seen firsthand how the past year has been a heavy load on teachers.
So an event put on like this truly helps teachers understand that they are appreciated outside the classroom as well as inside the classroom.
One teacher's aide, Shasta Parker, says it's nice to be supported.
I think it's just a great way for teachers and other staff to get together and kind of relax and just socialize outside of school and just have that recognition. I mean, it has been a year.
She says it's been a rough transition teaching in person amid the pandemic.
It's stressful. You're constantly having to remind kids to put their mask on, lots of hand sanitizing, so lots of dry hands, washing your hands constantly. And it's just everything different, from the cafeteria to the hallways to the bathrooms, everything it's just a different way of learning to do things.
Events like this just remind educators that their hard work doesn't go unnoticed. In Riverton, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Event organizers want to make educators know that despite how rough the past year has been, they are not alone. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. A push for justice.
Protesters demand justice 1 year after Breonna Taylor's death and a major settlement for George Floyd's family. I'm Naomi Ruckham with new courtroom developments on both these stories.
And for our Something to Talk About, we're asking, should sex education teach about gender identity and sexual orientation? We let you weigh in, but first it's 6:37.
We got patchy cloud cover. Now our dense fog advisories have been lifted, so that's the good news. But still, do be careful out there because it does remain relatively low to the ground. As we progress through the afternoon, breaking cloud cover, highs in the mid-60s. Actually going to be an extremely nice Monday afternoon. Follow that up with some sunshine and 70s on Tuesday. And look what's back, just in time for the little leprechaun on St. Patrick's Day. Thunderstorm activity for Wednesday morning and a cold front on the backside. Be back with Nation Watch right after this.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, the push for justice presses on across the country 1 year since the death of Breonna Taylor. And in Minneapolis, the family of George Floyd receives a record settlement as the jury selection in the trial of the former officer charged in his killing continues. Naomi Ruckham has updates on both stories in and out of the courtroom.
Jury selection continues today in the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. He's charged with murder and manslaughter in George Floyd's death after kneeling on Floyd's neck for nearly 9 minutes. Half of the 14 jurors have now been selected.
Aye. There are 13 ayes.
On Friday, the city council unanimously agreed to settle a lawsuit with George Floyd's family for $27 million.
This nation needs healing. Our family needs healing.
The agreement is likely the biggest pre-trial settlement ever for a civil rights claim. The family pledged $500,000 for the neighborhood where Floyd was killed.
It means a lot to give back and, hopefully see these businesses flourish.
Black lives! Black lives!
Across the nation Saturday, protesters lined the streets to remember Breonna Taylor on the first anniversary of her death during a botched police raid. In New York, a peaceful protest brought crowds to Times Square.
Black trans lives matter, black women's lives matter, black lives matter. I feel like if we're not repeating it enough, people will forget to stand up for it.
In Louisville, Taylor's boyfriend Kenneth Walker joined the protests. Charges against him were dismissed last week.
I say that's a nice start, but that's not where we finish. And we gotta keep going.
Walker has filed a federal lawsuit against the police department and the officers involved. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
Minneapolis, the earliest opening statements would begin in the trial of Derek Chauvin on March 29th. The three other former officers will face trial in August on charges of aiding and abetting, second-degree murder, and manslaughter. President Biden, Vice President Harris, and their spouses begin traveling across the country this week to talk to Americans about the benefits of the president's nearly $2 trillion coronavirus relief package. Republican lawmakers staunchly oppose the legislation, which the president signed into law last week. That's a look at today's top national stories. Let's check back in with Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, should sex education teach about gender identity and sexual orientation? It's an issue that's come up with the Nebraska State Board of Education. We'll begin our comments with John Trebian, who says how disgusting sex education should not be taught until teenage years between a man and a woman. Get back to church. Good morning, KOM. Good morning, America. We say good morning, John. Jenny Edwards says, I do not want my grandchildren taught about sex or sexual orientation in school. Glenn Pietasini says, follow the science. Colleen McGuire, bleep no. My children would not be taught by the public school system about sex, anything starting in kindergarten. I didn't allow it when my now grown children were in 3rd grade and sure would not in kindergarten. I would opt them out for that. And Jerry Lawrence says, how about we bring home econ and shop and leave that other stuff up to the parents? I'm not sure why my kindergarten needs to know about same-sex relationships. As far as our morning Insta poll goes, right now 87% of you say no, sex education should not teach about gender identity and sexual orientation. We'll be back. Celebrate. There we go. Throw it back up. That way I can talk about it. You can make your voice heard by going to komnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back and celebrate birthdays and anniversaries right after this.
We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero. Alan Minzar, who was a member of the United States Army. He served from 1967 to 1968 in Vietnam. His hometown, Cherryville, Kansas. We are proud to salute Alan Minzar, our 4th-state hero.
We begin our birthday list with the youngest one that we're celebrating today, and that would be Brenly Norflees. Miss Brenly is celebrating her 5th birthday with that beautiful bow, and she is in Carl Junction. Happy birthday, Brenly.
I like the bow. And we've got Emma Rios turning 6 years old today. What a great picture there of Emma in McCune, Kansas.
Love these smiles to get us started on a Monday. And look at Dax Smith. He's flashing the smile as well. A happy 6th birthday to Dax. He is in Joplin.
Connor Mitchell turning 6 years old this year as well. Connor is in Webb City. Had a birthday over the weekend.
Keep those smiles coming. Isaiah Overman. Oh, yeah, you did. Good get there, Isaiah. That's how you celebrate the 9th birthday right there. Hey, next time you're going fishing, man, you hit me up. Happy 9th birthday in West Mineral.
All right, Logan Barnhart turning 10 years old this year. Happy birthday to Logan in Fredonia.
And we got a teenager in the form of one Ethan Adam. Great looking cake right there, Ethan. Man, I hope you enjoyed every bite of that. Happy birthday to Ethan in Pittsburgh.
Also turning 13, it's time to celebrate for Gabe Duncan.
What up, Gabe? I was waiting for him to turn. I'll give Gabe a shout out. Uh-oh.
I think
there we go. I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. All right, so you know, the driver's license is now official. Aiden wants you to have a marvelous 16th birthday, my friend. He is in Carthage.
All right, in Erie, Kansas, Braden Yarnell turning 17 years old.
Jade Huggins celebrated a birthday over the weekend. I love that picture right there. A happy 23rd to Jade in Sheldon.
And Megan Hernandez turning 25 years old this year. Happy birthday to Megan down in Miami, Oklahoma.
Now let's run out to Chanute because that is where we find Morgan Dewey as Morgan celebrates her 38th birthday. Happy birthday, Morgan.
Aaron Humble turning the big 4-0 this year. Hope you have a great one, Aaron, in Girard.
Julie Cox, a happy 52nd birthday. Miss Julie, she is in Lamar.
And let's see, pictured there with his grandson, Randy Little turns 58 years old this year in Girard.
Look at the curls on Decker right there.
Yeah.
That's something else. Jim Lawson, he is celebrating his 83rd birthday. What a gorgeous picture right there. And congratulations, Jim. Looks like you have one of the family there that maybe you married off. And I want you to have a marvelous birthday in Joplin.
All right, and we also
have what?
Becca Sandberg.
What?
Becca celebrating in Pittsburgh.
I tell you what, you want to talk about a wonderful person who exemplifies human dignity with the way she treats people in a healthcare setting and takes care of people. Becca, I miss you and a very happy birthday.
All right, in Fort Scott, Rory and Lisa Chaplin are celebrating 17 years of wedded bliss. I love that picture.
That's a good picture right there.
That's a great one. In Fort Scott.
How about this? Half a century. 50 years.
Woo!
Jim and Karen Vaughn. Congratulations, Jim and Karen. They're our neighbors in Crestline.
All right, well, how about a 52nd anniversary? This one up in Farlington, we've got Chuck and Sandy Stanley. Congratulations.
That's a cool picture right there. I love that. All right, so we went 50, then we have 52. How about 63?
What?
Bill and Artie Hickman. Yeah, the Hickmans celebrating their 63rd anniversary. Now, Mr. Hickman is also one of our 4-state heroes, and you may remember last week we not only profiled him, but he had a birthday as well.
I wonder when this
I mean, you want to talk about a busy week for Bill. And congratulations to the both of you. They're in Deerfield.
All right. And the one and only Heather Marsh is celebrating. That's a great picture there,
Heather.
Heather.
A good one.
Heather is our
I'll tell you
lovely
what,
assignment editor.
If you were to flash that in front of me real fast, you know what I would do? I would have said, "What's up, Steph?"
Yeah, they do look a lot alike.
Yeah.
And her shirt says it all. She's a queen. She
Now,
sure is.
you know what I like to say. Who that is? We respectfully call Mr. Thomas, but also too, we call him Danny. We call him DT. We call him the big man. That is
the boss.
That is our general manager right there, Mr. Danny Thomas. Would you like to go first? Would you like me to espouse?
You go ahead.
I'll tell you what, if the opportunities that I've had that have landed me here in the 4 states, have kept me here in the 4 states.
And brought you back?
The reason that I call KOAM TV family is because of that gentleman right there and the opportunities that he has afforded me. And as a result of that, I have 2 beautiful kids and a wonderful support group around me. It's that simple. It's not that simple, but it is that simple. Thank you, Danny, and a very happy birthday to you.
Been a pleasure to work for, and Some of my funnest memories of Mr. Thomas is when he puts on the overalls and the hat and out.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
He'll go out and do the yard work too. How fun. Yeah.
That's it. Now you got the visual stuck in my head. Happy birthday, Danny.
Love you, Danny. Happy birthday. Hope you have a great one.
Meg Gebhardt, celebrating a birthday in Mulberry. Meg, wants you to have a marvelous day. Octava Lehman. What a beautiful name right there. A very happy birthday to Octava. And Marty Bedini, a very happy birthday to you as well.
All right. Mom and Dad are wishing Megan Hess a happy birthday in Pittsburgh.
Happy birthday, Megan.
And we've got an anniversary for Jeff and Melissa York. As we understand, these are one of our graphic artists, Will York's aunts and uncles. And they're in Lawton, our neighbors.
Congratulations, Jeff and Melissa. And we're gonna find Will. And we're gonna find out where a picture is. But really, I'm just gonna blame it all on Jeff. It's easier that way. Now here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. If you have a birthday or you just want to be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club, all you have to do is go to our website and sign up. You can get special deals from local businesses that way. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. President Biden, Vice President Harris, and their spouses begin traveling across the country this week to talk to Americans about the benefits of the president's nearly $2 trillion coronavirus relief package. Republican lawmakers staunchly oppose the legislation, which the president signed into law last week. Missouri State Highway Patrol is investigating an officer-involved shooting in Kimberling City. Officials say around 10 a.m. Friday, the Highway Patrol, Stone County Sheriff's Office, and the Kimberling City Police Department responded to an address on Port Holiday Lane number 2 in Kimberling City after a call regarding a possible hostage situation. After several hours, Highway Patrol Troop D's SWAT team was called in. As troopers were attempting to negotiate, the suspect fired several shots. One trooper shot the suspect. The Stone County coroner pronounced that suspect dead. Officials are still investigating the incident. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Warnings in lime green throughout southwest Missouri until this afternoon. The dark green are river-specific flood warnings. Those last until the middle of the week. Our Monday is actually going to be quite delightful after we break the cloud cover and work up into the mid-60s with a whole bunch of afternoon sunshine. Tomorrow, even a little bit warmer. We'll throw 70s up on the board. Now, thunderstorm activity just in time for St. Patrick's Day. Begins in the morning, lakes us into Thursday. And look at the cooler temps on the backside of it as overnight lows will dip down into the 30s.
All right, we're going to be making another yummy recipe in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen today at noon.
I bet you by the time the middle of the week rolls around, we're talking about a St. Patrick's Day recipe, of course. You can switch on over to us on Fox 14. We're going to be paying attention to not only our flood warnings, but also we're starting to break up the patchy fog. That's a great thing. We'll also future track, look at where that thunderstorm activity is going to roll in from as far as central Oklahoma, and update the amount of rain that we got. Tanya and I were looking at it during the commercial break. Right on the Newton-McDonald County line, we found a patch of 9 inches of accumulation dating back from Wednesday through Sunday. Be careful out there. Know that those roads will continue to be flooded all the way into the middle of the week. That wraps it up this edition for the KOAM Morning News. Have a great, safe Monday. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.